What's up, guys? Kevin Wagstaff here. I love this episode of Spectora Spotlight with Zac Knoblauch. It's the second time on, and he's had success staying small. He talks about the benefits of running a small inspection company. So for you solos, experienced inspectors out there, you don't have to be a huge multi-inspector company to win. We talk about pricing, his website, his branding that he uses on Instagram, how he uses tacos to win, creative branding there. And then we also talk about the industry, subscription services, what the future could look like. Very interesting stuff from a guy who's been doing really well, been around about 5-6 years, I believe. So hope you enjoy the episode, and thanks for listening, everybody. Right on. Zac, thanks for joining me, man. Long time coming. You're a Spectora OG. So when you emailed me, I was like, hell yeah, let's shoot the shit and catch up.
Yep.
How you been, brother?
Good. How about you?
Oh man, good. Busy managing the team. We've been growing nicely. We've been in the industry about a similar amount of time. That's what we were just talking off camera a minute ago. So you're 6 years in now, right?
Yep. This is my 6th year, and I got started in 2016. So
you've probably you've done more than 1,000 inspections at this point, right?
Yeah. I'm pushing. I think I'm a little over 1,300. I'd have to check
Wow.
exact number, but yeah. I started off pretty decently strong in my first year. I think my first 12 months it was like 104 or 110, something like that, in that range.
Which is amazing.
But I've been kind of sticking around the 200 to 240 area each year. I try not to overdo it. I like to stick to one a day usually. I'll do two if it's like a smaller house, or if they're newer houses. But yeah.
Which I want to dig into here in a minute. I'll definitely ask you some questions on like staying in that sweet spot and staying the one-man operator, because I get, believe it or not, requests for that more often, of people saying, hey, I get that some people turn into like a 50 inspector company, and that's cool. I think what you're doing is kind of like some people's dream, first of all, and then second of all, more common. So definitely want to ask you about the mentality behind that. Or actually, let's jump into it now, because I actually just pulled up your Google My Business and want to ask you about your perfect 5-star reviews with 189. So we'll talk about that. But did you always set out to stay kind of in your lane and have a good work-life balance and be a one-man operator?
Yeah. So I still don't had the desire to have employees. And I understand, if you want to do it, you just got to jump right in. But I don't have like the business like growth, like just get a bunch of inspectors and then basically kind of just be in the background kind of mindset. I like doing the inspections, and I'm kind of particular, I guess, and that's why I haven't hired anyone. It just makes me nervous, because it's like, are they going to do it as good as I do it, or as good as I think I do it? And are they going to take care of the client, or like, treat the client like I would? Because it's different when you don't own the business and you're just an employee. I feel like it's one of those things where you got to kind of work with that person to like have them treat it like it's their business, even though it's not. So scaling and getting employees wasn't ever something that I ever wanted to do.
Were you ever tempted over the years? Like, did you ever have that conversation?
Yeah, like with myself, and I've listened to a lot of your podcasts. You got guys on there that started and then they kind of grew, and I just haven't listened to it enough yet, I guess, or like had enough knowledge on it to like, or I guess knowledge is the right word, to really like dive in and start doing that. But I will tell you, after the last podcast, I ended up a few months later hiring a call center. So I went with one of the big ones, and it worked out for a little bit, but I ended up switching to a smaller company that specializes in home inspection. And that worked out good. And I actually just recently ended up just getting rid of it. It was nice when it was super busy, kind of slowed down a little bit in the wintertime. And I kind of got over that anxiety and I don't know what the word I'm looking for is. Just, I didn't like answering phones. I didn't like talking on the phone. And I just, after having a call center, I don't know, it's something like sparked in me. And I'm like, I actually enjoy answering the phone now.
Interesting.
I think that provides another level of like a connection with the client, actually speaking to them personally. Um, I think that kind of helps out a little bit in terms of getting reviews too, because it builds a better connection, I guess, is what it
Oh,
is.
I'm a big advocate of this. Like if someone wants to grow and kind of go the hyper growth route, yeah, you probably need people answering your phones, but
Yep.
a lot of new inspectors ask about call centers well before it feels like they have the need for it. And I'm like, don't you kind of want to build your brand with by being the one answering the phone and like establishing that connection? Um, do you I mean your website's beautiful. Do you push people to the online scheduler a decent amount too? Like if they can't get a hold of you?
Yeah, yeah. So actually, I was talking to KC Bartley, well-known guy in the industry. He's still one man, and I was like, man, I was asking him, do you answer your phones? Like, how do you deal with the call volume? He's like, well, he said at a certain point during the day, he'll turn it to, I guess, sleep mode or mute or whatever. And he's got this really nice. He had me call the phone and listen to it. He's got this really nice voicemail set up of like, pushing people to either text him or go to the website and schedule. And I was like, man, I don't know if I can make mine that nice because you've got that southern accent and something.
You can record yours. You should record
Yeah,
yours for you.
yeah, I should have him record mine. But I ended up setting one up, and it's kind of worked. If I'm not able to get to the phone, and the call misses, I'll get that automated text from Spectora. Online scheduling in progress. So
Beautiful.
um, that's kind of worked out. The thing, and I don't want to steer people away from call centers, but the thing I experienced was people would call in and they'd want to talk to me directly.
Mm,
They had questions about specific things with the house or whatever, and I found myself still being on the phone, not really getting away from being on the phone, and basically the call center turned into a middleman, and I'd end up having to call the client back anyway. So
that's fair.
I ended up just making the decision to, get rid of it and just keep my phones
I'm gonna
myself.
have I'm gonna have to look up the app. Someone told me about an Android app that if you miss a call, it can automatically like send a text to the person that called you with like
Yeah,
a link or something. Do you have that? Or are you aware of that?
yeah. So I had an Android. I switched to the iPhone recently, but it's built in with Android to like
Oh,
you can just do that. But I ended up getting the Grasshopper. It's like a phone answering app,
yeah.
and you can buy like multiple numbers and stuff. And so I've got it set up in there where it automatically texts them if I miss the call. Um,
Really? Okay.
Sends them a link to the website and everything.
Oh,
So
beautiful.
that's huge because then they'll either go to the website or they'll text me back, you know, after that automated text sends, and that's helpful because texting. I definitely prefer that over a phone call when I'm at an inspection
Yeah.
because I'm doing different stuff. It's hard to just hold the phone up and then try to keep going. Sometimes you got like a time schedule you're supposed to be within or you're trying to be within so you're not wasting 30 minutes at an inspection on the phone.
I'm glad you mentioned Grasshopper. We started off using that at Spectora, but that's like a little hack that most inspectors probably don't even know about. Like
Hmm.
just and
Yeah.
everyone worries if you miss the call, you're dead. It's like, well, not necessarily.
Yep. Hmm.
You mentioned Casey. It's funny. I think about you both when I think of like power solo operators. Like ones that just kind of know what they want. They dictate their schedule. Talk a little about the philosophy behind like one a day, because you seem disciplined, because some people start that way and then they can't say no. They
Yeah.
can't turn away business, and then they're like, oh, I just can't like say no to people.
Yeah.
What was your vision with that?
So when I first started doing inspections, I was only doing one a day, and that was basically because the majority of the reason was because my software I was using was horrible, and I'd have to come home and I'd spend, I remember my first inspection, I spent 6 hours writing the report, and like, and there's a plug for you. After I found Spectora, it shaved that down to like basically just a 20-minute review of the report once I got home.
Beautiful.
But that was the one of the big reasons why I started doing one. Once I got Spectora, I started throwing two in there every now and then, and I got to a point where it got really busy after COVID. I was doing two a day almost. not every day, but probably 3 days a week. I'd throw 2 in there. And it was tiring. It was just a long day. And then being gone, since I was driving an hour at some points, I was gone, 12 hours a day, and it's kind of tough, having a little one and everything. So, plus I felt like there's just a lot to remember. Like if I got home and I was like, what was that house or was that the other house? And so I kind of started just doing one a day, and I was like, I don't really need 2 a day, like financially. I mean, it's good money, but it's not a necessity. So I started doing 1 a day, and I kind of sell myself on that to people. I let people know, I'm not squeezing you in. You're it for my day. Like this, you're my client today. This is the only house I'm doing that day. So I could be here 5 hours, and it's not going to affect me. And I kind of use that as a sell point, and it relieved a ton of stress too, just doing 1 a day, because I try to get them in the morning, like a 9 a.m. slot, and that way I'm done at 1, usually 12:31, and it's like I've got the rest of the day to do whatever. And it's just, I don't know, I think the stress relief was the biggest thing. Just knowing I only had 1. I could focus more on the house, take my time with it, and you'd be surprised, just like mellowing out and taking your time, how much more stuff you find than if you're just trying to kind of move quickly through and that. So that's definitely, I think, was like the biggest stress relief for me, was just switching to 1 a day.
I love this conversation because it doesn't get talked about a lot, honestly, on this podcast, and everyone is almost overly focused on efficiency, money, churn and burn. And so the result of this, I imagine, is 189 5-star Google reviews. And so, like, have agents and clients specifically like noticed that, or like what's some of the feedback been with agents?
Yeah. So I don't get too much feedback with agents. I know, like the ones that do use me, it's the client will tell me what they said, and it'll be like, yeah, he's really thorough. He'll be there a while. He finds everything, that kind of thing. But with clients, it's just thoroughness. They really do like communicating with me from the start. I've had a couple of them talk about that. The website's a big sell. They'll say, my agent gave me 3 or 4 guys, and I picked you because your website was nice. Or I just had one the other day too, and I posted in KC's group, the Christian Home Inspector group, on this, and it kind of got some conversation going. But the lady booked me because I had my pricing on my website. And I know there's some guys that are against it, some guys are for it, but it was nice kind of going through that post, because you could read all the different reasons why guys would be against it or with it. But she liked the transparency. She said she felt like she could trust me more because I had all of that listed. I wasn't hiding anything, I guess.
Yeah. Have you ever questioned that over the years? It's always a debate. I get that question like every webinar I do. They're like, show pricing, not show pricing. What was the decision point, I guess, for you to?
I honestly, I'm confident enough in like my reviews and my website and how I sell myself on my website that pricing, I didn't care if that ended up being a factor from someone choosing me, then that's probably wasn't someone I wanted to work with to begin with. I love when people book and they don't ask a question about pricing.
Oh,
like
beautiful.
they're not asking about how much it costs or what. They're just like, I want this, 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 and this. They're like, if this day works, and it's like perfect, and you set it up and you get done with the conversation, and then you realize that they didn't even ask you how much it cost. And it's like that's when you know that they picked you for the reason that I'm wanting to be picked, which is they liked how I sold myself, basically, or I had good reviews or whatever. So
I'll definitely link to your pricing page in the description, but I love how plain, it's just simple and straightforward. Yeah, I'm a big fan of this, especially when you have the value and the reviews to fall back on. And so like I know early on some inspectors are like, well, I gotta like sell myself on the phone when someone calls. And that's fair too. I think early on
Mm-hmm.
it's you don't
Yeah.
have the brand that you have. Have you had to raise prices with inflation and or I guess let me just simply ask, how do you view raising prices? What's your kind of philosophy there?
So I usually do once a year. If I'm too busy, then I'll do it mid-year. Like if the summer hits and I'm like having to turn people down or I'm booked so far out that I can't accept anymore, then I'll raise prices because I'm trying to stay in that area where I'm booked out enough, but I'm not losing business.
Right.
I think and you know, a lot of people do price shop, and they hire people based on prices. I think if you're priced too low, you're probably going to be getting a lot more calls. I would think raising your prices higher, you might not get as many phone calls. So it kind of helps level out the amount of work you're doing and being booked out too far. Um, but yeah, usually once a year. This year I did not raise my prices yet. I usually do it in January.
Mhm.
Um, Instead, I implemented a credit card fee.
Mm,
So if they use a card, 4% fee. Spectora's got that little checkbox on there. I
right.
think I use Square, but I use it like through Spectora,
Yep.
and it's like automatically adds 4% technology fee or whatever. And I've had since I did that. I think I did that in February. I've only had one person pay with a card, so that's helped out a lot because I looked at my fees for Square for 2021 and it was around $4,000. So I mean, it's a lot of the bigger guys, that's nothing. But for me, $4,000 over a 12-month period, that's a good raise. And I consider implementing a credit card fee a raise essentially because
Yeah.
I'm
Yep.
making $4,000 more a year.
That's your
So
inflation bump right there.
yeah. So that's what my decision was this year. I might see later on in the year if it starts picking up or see other guys where if their price points are a lot higher than I am. I definitely don't want to be the lowest guy, so I might raise them at that point again. But yeah, for now, I think the card fees definitely.
So only you said everyone's been basically doing check or cash.
Yeah, check or cash. Got a lot of cash, a lot of checks. What I noticed too after doing this is a lot more people show up to the inspection. I used to not really like that. I just like being alone. But I tell people now, wait 30 minutes, give me 30 minutes at the house from the start time, and then you can show up. That way I can kind of get in the groove and start going once I get there. But it's actually been better with people showing up because I get that personal connection again. A handshake, get to see them, they get to see me. I feel like that builds trust, and I feel like that kind of lowers your chances of if they come up with an issue down the road, then getting mad at you because they know you on a personal level now, and I feel like they see you inspecting. They're like, well, I saw him in that area. If this was an issue, he would have found it for sure, or some stuff like that. So
Yeah.
um, the credit card fees actually improved things on a different level where people are showing up to the inspection now because they rather than pay that credit card fee, they want to show up and hand you like the cash or the check or whatever. So
Which allows you to imprint on them. They trust you more, probably less callbacks over time. Wow, I didn't think about that angle.
absolutely, yeah, build relationships even more than from the point of answering the phone to now. You're answering the phone, so who they're talking to is who's going to be doing the inspection. I'm communicating via email and text and stuff through Spectora's automated stuff. And then, they show up and they get to see who they've been talking to. So it really builds that relationship. They're not getting, three different people, which, I understand like once you become big, you definitely need someone answering your phones. You can't be, doing everything, wearing all the hats. So, but yeah, from a single man standpoint, it's definitely I like when people show up now for sure.
I just love this path that you've taken, honestly, because it seems like you didn't only think of like money as the only currency. You thought of time and stress as like these three other,
Totally. Yeah.
vector points. Because just looking at your pricing, I'm like, you're you're making like 75, 80, 85% of what someone would make if they were doing twice as many inspections, but charging a little less. But I bet your stress levels are way lower than someone doing
Oh,
2 to
yeah,
3 a day.
absolutely. Yeah, like the biggest thing, and like I think a lot of guys, a lot of other inspectors can agree. You raise your prices, you can do less and make more overall. And I think adding ancillary services helps too. I do mold and radon, and I was looking at radon. And for like a single man, I think I had 3 monitors last year. I'm up to 4 now, but just adding that added another 15,000 in revenue a year.
Beautiful.
Which is, I mean, you're at the house already. You just have to drive back, basically spend 5 minutes picking the machine back up, and then you're on your way. So to make an extra 120, 150 bucks off of just leaving a machine behind and then going back and picking it up, that definitely helps. But
it's only a pain when it's an hour away, right? When you have to pick it up.
Yeah, that's when it gets to be a pain. Like example, I set one up the other day, and they ended up calling and canceling because they had some kind of issue with the loan on the house. And I already went out there and set this machine up. It's like, now I got to figure out when's a good time to drive back and pick it up. But it's not often that happens, but definitely still worth adding that service.
Yeah. I wonder if anyone's ever tried to use like a TaskRabbit type service, or have like a local assistant that can run out and grab those when it's like really far away. I don't know if that'd be worth the money or not, but
yeah, I mean, it could be, I guess, if you find somebody that's reasonably priced, and you can still make a decent profit off of it.
Like the Uber of radon
right.
machines or something.
Yeah.
I love the ancillary services too. I think that's big and something that just gives you the boost right there. So how do you view the rest of this summer year playing out with like interest rates rising? Does the economy, spook you at all? It's been, I mean, you and I have been in this industry in kind of a great run, right? A great run of 5-6 years where things have been great in general. Are you worried at all?
Yeah, I'd say so. I mean, I like this winter got me really worried, just because I was so used to it basically just not slowing down through the winter. The market's been so crazy, especially after COVID. But it was a slower winter, had me worrying. Seeing interest rates go up has me a little worried. But there's still people that are going to need a house, like a place to live. And a lot of people don't want to rent, so they're going to be buying no matter what the interest rate is. And really, even where it's at now, it's still low comparatively to where it was 10 years ago. Yeah, I'm a little bit worried, I guess. It's the thing that has me most worried isn't really the interest rates, it's just the lack of homes for sale.
Right.
And that's what we need, is we like to, stay in business. We need homes for sale so people have something to get inspected. And I think with that being low, it's kind of one of those questions like, is what's going to cause there to be more houses for sale, or is there anything that's going to, put more houses on the market? So we'll see. Just kind of talking to different agents and seeing what their take is, and hoping that it's a good summer and it picks up like usual.
Yeah, my hope is if price increases moderate and they kind of just trickle higher, then people will say, okay, I'm not missing out on huge future gains, so let me lock in what I have and sell. So I sure hope that, yeah, the Fed trying to raise rates does its desired effect, which is like cool off the housing market, but not like tank it. So like that sweet spot of like 1 or 2% price growth is probably great for the inspection industry.
Yeah. And man, I was talking to this agent this morning, actually, at this networking group, and she said that over the last 12 months, home prices, how did she word it? It was like home value went up 20%, or prices went up 20%. And that's just insane to think about.
Yeah.
And I'd like to see the numbers over the course of like the last 3 years, like pre-COVID to now. Like it's got to be
50.
staggering.
Yeah, maybe 50. And when you think incomes rarely go up that much, and then interest rates on top of that, so affordability, now you're probably talking 60, 70, 80%. So definitely going to be some I was reading about adjustable rate mortgages this morning. So definitely gonna be more people taking advantage of those, I bet, in the future.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, let's talk about your Instagram, because I started seeing your these cute little cartoons of yourself on there that I just loved. I thought they were so cool. And so I'm gonna put this in the description too so everyone can see it. Just links to some of these home tips that
Mhm.
you do. Where did that come from? Where did the inspiration to, well, first of all, tell people what it is and then
Yeah, so I had my designer friend make a little guy of me. It's like a little emoji, but it's got like a full body thing, and it's got my logo on my hat and shirt and everything. And he's I put him next like on a little thing where it's got like home maintenance tips. And so I got them numbered. I forget what number I'm on now, but I haven't. I need to make another one. It's been a while since I made one, but I just put out a little home maintenance tip. Like clean your gutters kind of thing, and it's got my little guy on there giving a thumbs up, I think. But yeah, that I tried to make like a little character that people can remember and recognize. I really need to start using him some more. But
yeah. Yeah, actually, let me see if I can just show this real quick for the people on YouTube. So this
yeah,
guy right here, I thought it was so clever and I hadn't seen anything like it in the industry. And so, these little home tips, I thought it was just a good bang for the buck kind of thing on social, because
yeah,
you keep reusing it. Um, so that's cool. I think that's an underrated I don't want to say like tactic, but an underrated thing to do.
yeah. Like brand building. I think that's huge too. Is just like brand recognition and building your brand and having just trying to be everywhere and making sure that your name and your logo is out there in front of people. That way, whenever they think home inspection, you're like the person that comes to mind.
When did you get the hat, the shirts, like kind of formalized in that way and like on the branding side of things?
Um, Probably I, I think like the first month. I had like when I started like getting towards building this company while I was going through schooling and stuff. Um, I had like it kind of laid out in my head what I wanted. My shirts have changed a little bit. I just wear like it's a black T-shirt now. I was wearing like a Nike golf shirt, and the specific one I liked, they quit making it. So it's like,
Oh, man.
uh,
I think I remember the one you're talking about. I've seen those and they're slick, man. They look
yeah,
breathable.
yeah. And I was a big golfer, and I knew like those shirts they look nice, and they're like you said, they're breathable. They're good in the hot weather. Um, but yeah, I just knew, I guess, from when I first started building the company and the brand that like that's what I wanted to do and wear, and that's how I wanted to look. So
You just, I guess one thing that always struck me about you was you seem to keep things simple and practical. And I think inspectors are notorious for overcomplicating things or overthinking things. I think humans maybe in general, but like even your brand colors, the logo, it's all so clean. And I think like being that like that's a philosophy at Spectora, we have great appreciation for that. Where you look at your hat, your shirt, it's simple, clean, and kind of distinct. So I don't know how was that always kind of the plan? Was that very intentional?
yep, yeah. So whenever I was like building this company and going through the schooling, I was working at a marketing agency. I was a web developer, front end web developer. And so my buddy that was across the cube from me, he was the designer. He made my logo and everything, made my brochures that I had. And that was our thing when we were there making websites was keep it simple, like keep it clean. And so like I think this was like his first attempt at the logo, the one that I have. And I was like, dude, that's it. Like I want it. Because most people don't notice it, but the R is a house,
Yep.
and then like the top of the R is like a chimney, and the I comes together to kind of make it look like a house. And I was like, that's brilliant,
Beautiful.
like I wouldn't have ever thought to do that. And so yeah, that's been my logo, and I feel like I want to say it's timeless. I might get tired of it at some point, but 6 years have gone by, and I'm still think it's pretty relevant and
Heck yeah.
modern. So I'm keeping it.
Elegance and simplicity. Big fan of
Yeah.
that. Um, do you actively ask for reviews I'm always curious when people pass the 100 or get close to 200, do you mention it on site, or is it more just you have your digital asking dialed in after the fact?
Yeah, so I do like a follow-up text and email using the automated stuff through you guys. And I just send a link to my Google. Um, and I just, I talked to Casey about everything. I feel like when I first started, that guy was like my mentor.
Yeah.
Like everything he did I just thought was like, great. But talked to him and I got a good like ask, I guess, written up, like a good little paragraph on basically asking people for reviews. Something I noticed though was like after a certain period of time, I noticed that they start going to spam, like the email side. And so I have to change up what the title is of the email and like the text. And then it starts, once I do that, like I start getting reviews again. And then when the reviews start dying off, I change that up and then they start coming again. And I was like, I'm either they're going to spam or something's happening because every time I change like the text stuff just a little bit, I start getting reviews again. But
Interesting.
I usually get them, I don't know, like maybe 4 or 5 a month, which is decent. I know some guys get a lot more, but I don't, probably should ask in person, but I don't right now. I just do like a follow-up email and
And I
text.
think when you get to your point, it's just can't extend your lead any more than ranking first in your area and being first on the
Yeah.
Google Maps pack. And so I guess the slow trickle hire is pretty sweet.
Mhm.
What what else are you hearing? Kind of like you mentioned, those other groups, like any other like trends or changes you've seen over the last year or so?
Yeah, I mean, I feel really bad for buyers right now.
It's
Like,
brutal. It's
oh my
brutal out
gosh,
there.
they have no leverage. Like they can't leverage an inspection or anything. It's like
Nothing.
they're almost guaranteed to have to pay over asking price. And that's what I'm seeing is like people are paying pretty crazy amounts over asking price. I mean, I'm hearing upwards of like 60 grand. I think 10 to 20 is like average. But I've heard as much as 60,000 over. Um, and the big thing I think that's really affecting inspectors is people are waiving the inspections to get the house. I think that's another reason why it's kind of slowed down here recently is because people are at that point of desperation where they're actually waiving inspections, which I mean, I, I don't recommend that at all. At least get an inspection for like informational purposes. Don't
Right.
just like waive it completely. You could get one and just tell them, like, hey, I'm just getting it for informational purposes. I can't use this in negotiations or that. But yeah, that's really like the main trends that I've seen. Just well in the real estate industry at least is just people paying way more than they should, and then it's kind of skipping inspections. Um, but anytime it gets slow, it's kind of a blessing in disguise because and a lot of other guys can agree. You start focusing on your business. You're like, oh man, what am I doing wrong? Even though it's not really you, and you're like, what can I add to like make me, more valuable and whatnot. And so like this winter, I ended up signing up for the that Internachi buyback program.
Hmm.
I thought that was a good addition, and then I hooked up with some local taco shops, like local Mexican joints. And so now, anytime a person gets a home inspection, they get a coupon for 2 free tacos, and
Oh,
that's
nice.
been my thing. If you're on Instagram and you look my page up, there's I posted a picture of like a little graphic. My buddy who did my logo and everything,
I
I had
saw
him.
that.
Yeah, he made me a little taco guy, and
That's
it's 2 free tacos
adorable.
with the inspections.
That's so cute. Yeah, I love that.
So that's been my kind of sell point, and people think it's funny. They'll show up to the inspection, I hand them their coupon, and they just kind of chuckle because it's different. No one, I don't think anybody gives you free tacos for using them. Um, and that was just one of those things that being slow kind of helped me come up with that idea. And I think it's a decent sell point because people find it funny and people like tacos.
Exactly. And there's nothing to lose, and it's something to talk about. I love that.
Yeah.
And I noticed too on your Instagram, you always link to all your tools and use hashtags and other follows. Like I'm going to put your handle in the description. I want every inspector
Oh yeah, I appreciate that.
to kind
Yeah,
of
I try to
follow
tag
you.
everyone that I use because I'm a very picky person. Like I mentioned before, in terms of like hiring, I'm like too picky to hire somebody right now. But in terms of like using my tools, like I can't tell you how many ladders I've had. Just trying to find like the perfect ladder combination. And then the same with flashlights, because that's like one of the things that you use the most in inspection is your flashlight.
Yeah.
And then receptacle testers. Like I've had like any of them that you could think of, basically. Once I land on something that I like and enjoy, that I'm listing that in my thing there because I want to give a shout out to them. Like I put Spectora, you guys probably get tagged by me every single time I post.
Yeah, I
You're like,
love it.
man, this guy needs to quit tagging
No,
us.
it circulates good positive energy. And so like I know that's kind of fluffy hippie of me, but like I think anytime people loop other people in, get other people's attention, it's like the positive, I think, cycle on social media.
Yeah, and I've kind of actually I probably killed my business a little bit referring you guys so much because when I first started using you guys, it was like I want to say it was like October of 17. Um, Nobody else in my area used Spectora, and so I was like a huge sell point for me, as I could show agents what this report system looks like and how clean it was. And I remember when I first started using you guys, I was getting a lot of reviews on like how nice and clean the report was. Because working at a design place and seeing your software compared to all the other ones, I was like, all right, these guys know finally, somebody's not in the 90s. It's like it's clean. It's like, there's not gradients over the buttons. Like, it's like modern. I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. But I don't even know where I was going with that. But yeah, once I find something good that I appreciate, I'm definitely going to shout out. But I think I've gotten like at least 4 other guys in my area onto Spectora. One guy I had to convince for a while, and he finally gave in. He's like, man, I can't believe I haven't been using this for, the past couple of years. I was like, I tried to tell you.
Told you. Tried to told you. So speaking of that, I always like talking about like differentiators in the future because I know, especially, I think super experienced and high value inspectors are always thinking, okay, how do I continue to differentiate? We're toying around with the idea of like maybe custom cover pages in the future, the Spectora Connect stuff, being able to connect people to other services to just create value adds in the future. Where do you think the future of value add comes from on the inspector side? Because I think everyone knows of kind of the big changes in the industry, big money and players coming in
Mm-hmm.
and trying to kind of extend that value chain to the customer. What are your current thoughts on it? And then where do you think it could go? Do you think it's overall net positive for the industry?
Yeah, so I like what you guys are doing. I like that you haven't sold out. And I've told people, I don't think these guys are the guys that are gonna do that. Like what was it? Is it Home Gauge that Porch bought, or how did that work?
Porch
I
bought
forget.
ISN, and then
Ison, okay,
American
yeah,
Family Insurance bought Porch.
gotcha. Yeah, so it's basically, it seems like it's being like it's a data. These companies are wanting data, and because that's how they're going to make money. They want this person that just bought a house or just moved from out of state or whatever. They want their data so that they can sell them on stuff. Um, I don't like that. I don't like entering in my client's info and then some other company above me is taking that and spamming them or whatever. If they get a choice, that's fine with me. I can just talk to them at the inspection, like, hey, you care if so and so reaches out to you, that kind of thing. But I like where you guys are going with it, where you can recommend professionals, because that gives the inspector control over who the client is getting, like whose information is going to the or who's the client's information, like who it's going to or whatnot. Because there's just too many companies out there that are just, they want to get the job done, get their money on to the next one kind of thing. And I try to find companies that are more personable, if there's an issue, you can call the person, they're going to come out, make it right.
Right.
And so I've got a page on my site of recommended professionals, and I think that was a great add on the report side. Just being able to help your plumber out that you know does good work, that you know that you can trust your client with. That's big. And then in terms of like monetary stuff, I don't ask for anything from people I refer. I don't expect anything. I'm just referring them because I know they do a good job, and that's way more rare than anything else. Just even finding a company that'll.
It's the hardest part is finding
And so
consistent
I feel
people.
like the value is right there. Like the value is not in making money off a referral. It's in knowing that your client's going to get the best. Um, but yeah, I mean, in terms of other stuff going on in the industry, like where I see it going, um, I, there's got to be a way for recurring revenue. I've been trying to think of different ways. It's tough because most inspection it's just a one and done thing, and then you never talk to the client again unless they have some kind of problem or they're buying another house. And I think I realized over the winter too, when it got slow for me, I started thinking about what can I do to make some recurring revenue. So one thing I did, which there's going to be guys that agree with this, don't agree with this, but I set up an automated email to go out 365 days after their inspection. So once a year, basically, to remind them to have an annual roof inspection. Because that's one thing that once a homeowner buys their house, they're probably never going to go in the attic. They're probably never going to go on the roof.
Nope.
And stuff can happen to the roof. You could lose shingles and not even know it. They might blow 3 houses down and you never see them. They don't land in your yard, so you have no idea. Sealant around, nail heads, flashing, stuff like that can wear off eventually. So I thought, that'd be a good thing to implement. Just go back out, check out the roof. So for $25, that's the price I settled on. I didn't want to make it too high to where they don't do it, but I didn't want to make it too low to where I'm not getting anything from it. So my plan was to make it $25, and then maybe after I leave this inspection in this town, I could set it up to where I just, drive a minute over to this house before I head home, check out the roof real quick for $25, and then, with Spectora, it's easy to do it. You can do a report while you're there, especially with something as small as a roof. So I think recurring revenue is one thing that's going to be talked about, and I think guys are kind of looking to find ways to get that recurring revenue, especially for when the real estate market slows down.
I love where your head's at with this, and 25 feels low. That hopefully you have room to bump that up once you get some traction.
Yeah, I'm going to see how it goes. So it's like I'm not reaching out to people I've already done. I basically just started it in this December or November. So we'll see this November and December how it goes. And we'll see, is 25 too low, or is that a good spot? Because like I said, I didn't want to push people away from it being too high to where they don't do it. They don't find value in it. And I obviously don't want to be too low to where I'm losing time and money on it. But
right.
A roof inspection might, most roofs probably 15, 20 minutes tops. So I figured it was a good, decent little way to make a little bit of recurring revenue.
When do you think the actual, because hear me out. I believe this is a positioning problem, why the home maintenance inspection or the recurring, every like a seasonal every 3 month or 6 month kind of home maintenance check-in hasn't picked up steam. I believe it's just the way it's positioned. I think a lot of inspectors I've heard of try it, didn't make a good run at it. They didn't understand marketing the way you do, or the way I feel like I do. So I'm pumped to like make a good run at this as an industry. It's on our roadmap. Don't quote me on this, but to create recurring billing subscription for you guys to be able to offer to your clients, to where it's like an easy opt-in button. You have your service that says, hey, spring and fall, I'll come out, check your furnace, check everything around the house, make sure your home is sealed. Like some way to say every season you're going to need this, especially if you're a millennial and you don't even want to pay attention to these things. I think there's real steam here if inspectors are willing to do those, kind of light handyman, light kind of home maintenance tasks. Like, when do you think the client realizes they need that? It's probably not at the inspection. It's at some point between then and like 6 months out, right?
Yeah, I would say like a season. I would say, like once a season goes through, they might realize it. Like, let's say they get the inspection at the end of summer and winter hits. I think that realizing, okay, my gutters are full of leaves, or I need to get, or I don't know where my shutoff valves are for my hose bibs outside, stuff like that. But dude, yeah, I think that's a great idea, and especially if you guys implemented something to make it easier for us to get that going for past clients. I think the one area where inspectors kind of get scared with stuff like that is obviously the standards, like doing work for
True.
stuff you inspected. But I think maintenance thing, I don't know if it would need to be set up as a different business. I feel like it would be okay to do because you're not necessarily fixing things that you found wrong at the inspection. You're just helping your
Maintaining.
client, yeah, maintain things. But yeah, I mean, that's definitely something I would want to look into.
Yeah.
Especially like I've cleaned gutters, I've caulked things, like, and I don't know how far into it, you get with it. Like, should there be like a standard on,
Home
you know,
maintenance. Yeah. SOPs for
what,
home maintenance follow up.
yeah, like what you're supposed to do and where you're supposed to, like, where's the line at, but yeah, I think that's a great idea. Definitely a good way to make some recurring revenue.
I'm going to get
Um,
an update from Tom George. He's been on the pod, and I think he made a good run at this based on kind of like a 4-pack of things that he believed, or he surveyed and knew every homeowner needed, which was like furnace filter, dryer vent clean out, gutters was the third. And then there was a fourth one, basically, that was like, hey, it's a simple 4-pack of things that shouldn't scare inspectors from like committing to doing. And like you said, you're not fixing something you pointed out. So there should be no conflict of interest there. So
yeah.
my ideal world would be, yeah, inspectors wrap their heads around this. They can hire maybe a junior level person to kind of help with these too,
Hmm.
and make another 100, $200 a quarter from every person on their client list. That would be amazing.
Yeah. Or even like, I mean, I just thought of this, and I mean, it may work out better for me since I'm a single man, but just one of the days of the week, don't do an inspection, just do all your maintenance for these people. Because I don't know like what Tom is charging for it. I would assume like a little over $100.
Mhm.
I don't know, but
Somewhere around there. Yeah, I think it was
yeah,
somewhere between 100 and 200.
yeah, just throw 4 or 5 in those in a day because it's not going to take you long. And that could be just one day a week. You just do that home maintenance stuff. You got enough money there for it's equal to 1 or 2 inspections.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I think that's a great idea. Um, I don't know. I don't want to throw any more on your guys' plate, but you guys could be like you could set the standard for what the inspector's supposed to do in terms of the maintenance stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think implementing something in the software to make that easier for us to get that scheduled and be on a separate invoice or whatever. Yeah, that'd be awesome.
And even cluster them, like say you did have a home inspection on the northeast part of town, only people in those zip codes can book on that same day if you were to do like a maintenance inspection afterwards, to where like if you didn't do them all in one day, you would have certain zip codes that can only book around when you already had an inspection. That's where it would be really cool to dial that in, where you're just like, oh, I'm down the street from my home maintenance inspection. Boom, another $150 just right there.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, no, I think that'd be good. Especially like you do a neighborhood and some neighbors see some guy out there. It's like, what was that guy doing? Oh, that's my home maintenance guy. Then you got, you can get more people in that neighborhood. And yeah, I
Beautiful.
like it.
Beautiful.
Like
This is helpful. Yeah, this is a nice little product discovery session. So
yeah.
cool. Yeah, what else are you excited about kind of, coming into this year? What else have you seen or learned, I guess, at this point in your long tenured 6-year career?
Yeah. I'm just excited for summer to get here. I'm loving the warm weather. It's kind of off and on right now, but Summer's my season. That's my favorite season, summer or fall. So I'm just excited to get business rolling. I was looking at, I think it's Breeze. This is a new thing I think that I discovered. I'm sure other people are using it, but they're radon monitors. I thought this was interesting. So they have cell signal on the radon monitors.
Okay.
So you don't have to be next to it to hook up to it. You could hook up to it from your house and see how it's doing. But I think it was, and I might, you guys might want to look this up because I'm not 100%. But after a certain amount of time that the radon monitor's been running, that monitor can predict if the level is going to be high or low, and it gives you like a guarantee that you can basically give the client. So like if they're on a time crunch and they can't wait 48 hours for a radon test, you set that monitor up, and after 4 hours, it'll tell you, yeah, it's going to have radon, or no, it's not. And if they say no, it's not, and it ends up having a high level, that company will pay for the mitigation system to be installed. I was looking at that, and I thought that was pretty sweet, because it'd be nice to just be able to connect to the monitor from home. If I can't go drive an hour to pick it up, like I don't have the time, I could get the report, but I could also, after a few hours, know whether it's going to be high or low, and let the client know. That way, if they're trying to get their papers in order for negotiations, they can, exclude or include that a mitigation system. And then the company, paying for the mitigation system if they're wrong. You can't really lose in that situation. But when I was looking into those monitors, I saw I do mold testing.
Mm-hmm.
They got a pretty nice mold machine, wireless, because the one I have now, I got to carry an extension cord around.
Yeah.
But yeah, that radon monitor I thought was pretty sweet. So I was going to kind of look into that. That's one of those things, though. It's a big investment. It's like I've got 4 monitors right now, and that's it's $4,400 I've spent on these.
Yep. And use AirThings, right? I think I saw on your
stream. Yeah, cool. AirThings. I like them because they're compact. I bought one of those cases from Harbor Freight where you just like cut the foam out. So I could fit, I could probably fit 8 of them in this case I got, but I just fit all 4 of them in there. And they're slim, and they're only like an inch thick. So it's lightweight, and they're battery operated, so I don't have a cord or anything I have to plug in the wall. But I like those. But it'd be sweet to be able to connect to it from anywhere with it cell signal. So.
Yeah, I think those, the only caveat with the Breeze ones is they're owned by Porch now. So that who knows what will happen there, but we are talking to AirThings. They seem like a cool partner. I don't know if we're going to be able to do something with them in the future, but hopefully there's more innovation in that space in general.
Yeah, if they could come out with something that is cellular, that would save so much time, because then you could basically cluster one day of you're picking radon monitors up, or like a portion of a day,
right?
Because you already got your report. That's all you really needed. So right now you got to go pick up the monitor to get the report. But if I could get the report, once it's done running, I could just leave it in there for a couple of days and then pick them all up at once. That way I'm saving a lot of money on gas and whatnot.
Beautiful.
But yeah, that'd be a great implementation. I thought that was probably one of the coolest things with that other one.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, cool. I want to be mindful of your time here. This has been awesome. We covered a ton of cool stuff. So man, thanks for reaching out again. People can go to your website and your Instagram if they want to find you. I'm going to link to both of those because I think they're just both great. I think you did a great job with both of these.
Thank you. Yeah. And last time I had a handful of guys reach out, which is always good. I'll respond right away if I can. They had various questions about things, but yeah, I enjoy being on here. It's good to bounce ideas back and forth, and I like the that home maintenance thing's got my brain going now. So I'm going to be writing some ideas down. I might talk to Tom. I'm friends with him on Facebook, and see what he did, if he's still doing it, and kind of how that works with him.
Shoot me an email. People that really, I guess, are open-minded to these other ways to add value. We love beta testing with side by side, and we're getting real agile this spring because we've ramped up kind of our developers, and We're working on multiple things, you know, in terms of like stability, innovating, next gen, all these things. But this is something that I get excited about because it brings money into the industry, and I want the home inspection pie to just get bigger. One, because we benefit from it, but two, our customers benefit from it, and nothing bad happens when we bring more value in the
Hmm.
fences, you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
So let's stay in touch on that. I love kicking around ideas on it.
Yeah, definitely.
Right on. All right. Well, Zach, great
Yep.
time as always, man. I appreciate
All
your
right.
time, and keep killing it.
Thank you. Yep. I appreciate it, Kevin. We'll see you.
All right. See you.